A lot of you guys have asked me how I made my Star Wars fan film, The Last Stand on Hoth. So I wanted to take the time to go over a few things and hopefully share some valuable insight to my workflow. So this film was made using a mix of tools. A lot of AI, obviously, but also very traditional filmmaking techniques. And I do think it's important to say that AI doesn't really make things easy. It just makes different things possible, if that makes sense. I've been following the progress of AI for a few years, and especially video AI, and at some point I started wondering, is the time finally here to actually tell a story with these tools? And I think the answer is yes, and also no. And by the way, if you want to support what I'm doing and help me keep making these, there's a link in the description. But yeah, let's get into it. So lesson number 1 could be AI is not magic. AI doesn't give you what you want. It gives you something close to what you want, at best. And then you fight it from there. Oh, you will fight it from there. You will curse it, you will swear at it. You will question your life choices as a grown man obsessing over a 1980s space fantasy. And then you will turn again and you will start to love it. This is revolutionary. And then for it to completely break down, and you're right back to despising it again. So lesson number 2 could be, this is still filmmaking. In a way, this felt very similar to traditional filmmaking because it comes down to compromises and problem solving. Many times, it's not so much what you do show rather than what you don't show. You have to be good at hiding stuff. So lesson number 3 could be, iteration is the real work. So most of my film is just me trying again.
We take that bar, we take Ken, that ship take Val! We take that bunker, then we take Ken. That's the objective right now.
And you roll, and you roll, and you roll, and eventually you get something, okay? It's not perfect, it's nowhere perfect, but it's something. So maybe we could use like 2 seconds now of this clip.
My Hans?
Maybe we could use a part of the frame and clean the rest up in Photoshop, After Effects, and fix all the small details that breaks the illusion. Or combine multiple takes into one. So it's tedious, it's very tedious. I don't want to be a downer about this stuff, but I do want to be truthful and honest about my experience. So one of the hardest things by far was character consistency. And I'm still not fully happy with it. To create a character that is the same character throughout every scene right now, it's pretty much impossible. Unless you're going off a celebrity or like a famous character that the AI has a lot of training data on, I'd say it's still very hard to nail it. There were moments where I looked at a shot and I just thought, that's not Kyla, that's someone else.
There's still an auxiliary grid. I'll find a way.
And then you realize you have to rebuild the entire scene. And this is a scene you worked on for days or for a week, and you have to start over. That's tough and expensive. There were moments where I almost gave up. So what actually helped me a lot was building a full character turnaround. So you have your front view, side view, and back view. And you have like details on if you have a special helmet or specific looking weapons, something I can include when I prompt in Nano Banana, so I can always attach that full body character turnaround. It can still deviate from your character, but you increase your chances by a lot. So the way I approach character design is I usually start by creating some kind of a master shot or a medium close-up in either Mid-Journey or Nano Banana Pro. Then I take that image, bring it into Grok, and prompt things like push in to a close-up or cut to a new angle.
Kyla, listen up. We drained the reserve. If we don't get power, we're done here.
So Grok is honestly superior when it comes to naturalism, like faces, expressions. It just feels more real. So I ended up using it for probably around 70% of the dialogue scenes in the film. They did, however, roll out a new video model mid-production. A video model that barely spoke English.
They're getting slow out there! Do we have the bump?
And I tried prompting things like, use the old model or use the previous version, but I don't think any of that worked. So now Grok can present me with different close-ups, and it's actually pretty interesting. It's like an audition almost, like you get a slight different look of the character and you get a different performance and you get a different voice. So from here I can decide what iteration that aligns with my vision for this character. Now it's just a matter of prompting, and you can write stuff like remove the helmet or make the character turn right. Okay, and slowly you start to build up reference material sufficient for bringing it back to Nano Banana Pro to create a character turnaround. And Nano Banana Pro is really, really good at Star Wars, but it's very biased, and often Nano Banana Pro likes to default to an existing look of an actor or a character. And as for my character, Kyla had this orange jumpsuit outfit reminiscent of the X-Wing pilot jumpsuit, but slightly different. So I wanted her to feel more like an engineer rather than a pilot or a freedom fighter. But this was a big problem because Nano Banana Pro took her for an X-Wing pilot all the time. So I got the X-Wing jumpsuit with a chest plate and those metal greeblies on the arms or whatever. And you know, to have a rebel woman, like a brunette or a dark-haired woman with bangs, the AI went straight for Jyn Erso from Rogue One. One thing that was actually really interesting working on this film was trying to understand Hoth. And Hoth is obviously the icy planet from The Empire Strikes Back. But in the original film, it's not always that clear how everything on Hoth connects. So for my film, I really needed to understand the layout of Hoth and Echo Base. So obviously I went back to the film, but I also looked at Battlefront, which has a playable version of Hoth. So you kind of have all these different interpretations of Hoth, and you know, from there trying to piece together how Echo Base actually works as a space. And at some point you realize that you're not recreating it exactly, you're interpreting it. So you take bits and pieces and you build your own version that just feels right. Okay, so let's get back to the, the structure of this video. Core lesson number 4, AI is scary. I see a lot of comments saying things like, it's kind of scary how far AI has come, and yeah, it is. But what people don't see is how much work that goes into making a film with AI. This wasn't just pressing a button. This was writing, rewriting, hours of prompting, trying to get something that even remotely resembles what you had in your head. So building characters, breaking them, rebuilding them again. It's editing, sound design, reference work, fixing all the small things that the AI just gets wrong.
No! Off-world! Boots, molasses, that's a bike ab, alright?
And the glowing insignias, the broken droids, and snowtroopers with frowns. Ooh, the frown. 9 times out of 10 you will get the stormtrooper frown whether you like it or not. At one point, there were literally cars driving around in the background on Hoth.
Brother,
None of that fixes itself, so yeah, AI is powerful, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't make a film. You do.
Ground command, this is Scout 2. I heard you could use a walker. Yeah. He's cleared. Bring it forward. Ground Command, this is Scout 2. I heard you could use a walkway. Ground Command, this is Scout 2. I heard you could use a walkway. Ground Command, this is Scout 2. I heard you could use a walker.
Now, all of this might sound discouraging, but I actually think that this is where it gets interesting. Because constraints are often a good thing. In filmmaking, you always have limitations: budget, time, resources. And those limitations often lead to better ideas. You leave things in the shadows. You imply instead of show. You let the audience fill in the gaps for themselves. And honestly, it's the same thing with AI. It's powerful, but it's limited. So physics can be off and action gets messy. Characters behaving weird if you push too hard. So instead of forcing it, you learn to work with it. You simplify, you design around what works, and a lot of the time the result is actually better because of it. Final reflections. Talent. So yeah, AI is getting better, but I don't think it's replacing anything.
Front doors open. Let him come, Bob.
Because talent still matters. You still need someone to make decisions, to shape it, to know what feels right. So yeah, it's powerful, but it's unpredictable, inconsistent, and frankly, most of the time, completely unusable, which means you still need someone behind it. So, is the time here to tell stories with AI? Yeah, I think it is. But it's not easier, it's just different. And honestly, seeing how people have responded to my film, that just might be the thing that makes me want to do it all over again. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I do not know how many of you who are still watching at this point, but this was like my first attempt to break something down, like in a content creator way, I suppose. So, I don't know how I did, but I appreciate you guys and may the force be with you. Always.